Don't engage alone. We do this together.
Yeah.
We got it! We got it!
New 52 booklet.
Somebody clip this.
Welcome to Under Two Capes, the insanity podcast where we talk about a random topic and these two try and test my mental sanity. I'm Jared. I'm here with JJheat. What's up, brother?
Flame on. How's everybody doing?
And Teladia Plays. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? And Super Wonder is the best thing going.
Thank you. You just gained some more points. Our alliance grew stronger. Suck it, JJheat. So...
It don't matter to me.
So speaking of Super Wonder, we're talking about Injustice today. And hey, Teladia, you and me both. So we're gonna talk about Injustice because this is one of those storylines, one of those Elseworlds storylines that it's both good and bad in certain ways. Like, I'll go around real quick and let me ask you, starting with JJheat, your general thoughts on Injustice.
As a video game, it's fine. The comics are great. They're actually what put Tom Taylor on the map. I'll be the first to admit this. But the Mortal Kombat devs, they're not exactly the best at storytelling.
No, Mortal Kombat devs don't. The game
Wait,
where you rip people's spines out doesn't have that much of an in-depth story. Say it ain't so, JJheat.
I'm afraid it's true. I'm afraid it's true.
Wow, that blows.
Oh wow, yeah, that blows. I'm afraid I hurt my feelings a little bit.
But in all seriousness, for a bloody video game that's marketed to edgy teenagers, it's fine. But Injustice 2 is a relative downgrade. Let's just call it for what it is.
There are certain parts of it I like. The biggest egregious mistake they made is when the Justice League skins were coming out, and the ones for like Superman and Cyborg and Aquaman were the worst.
Yes.
I'm just gonna, because with Aquaman, they had the suit and the trident, JJheat, but it's still the white blonde Aquaman, so doesn't look as cool. With Wonder Woman, it's the exact same as her movie, but then again, because her costume didn't exactly change that much, so I understand that. But Cyborg, it was just a gun, and Superman, it's just the S. That's it. You couldn't give me like the blue and red suit because at the time I didn't have the black suit. You can't do that. It's that hard, apparently. So the thing about it, Injustice, the reason why I have two reasons for wanting to talk about this. Number one, this indicates, and JM, I'm glad you brought this up, and I'll get to Teladia's thoughts real quick, that this is why Tom Taylor works best in Elseworlds books, because this is what he can produce. Teladia, your general thoughts on Injustice?
Injustice is a great Elseworld story, and it tells you, the story of how a character like Superman, if he lost everything, and how he can change his persona from a good guy into a bad guy.
Well,
Right.
hang on. It's not just that. If he lost his persona and was corrupted by an evil Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm gonna put this to the record. This Wonder Woman, even though, people say, "Oh, he's Superman rebounder," we get that, but she's still a badass.
She's still great, and I like how it's like all the Justice League actors voicing these characters. The thing about it, all right, so what I love, Injustice 2, I think Injustice 2 was the one that did the origin for Wonder Woman, right, JJheat?
Pretty much. By the time Injustice 2 rolled around, you had an official origin for Injustice Wonder Woman.
And what was funny is that they made some allegories to the movie, but then they made it so like Wonder Woman, so Steve Trevor turns out being on the other side of World War II, and she kills him, and then that explains her like. But here's why that doesn't work, though. At no point during like any of the other books do we have any indication that she had this experience. As far as we know, it was just regular Wonder Woman.
I feel like what they were trying to convey is that after being betrayed by Steve Trevor, Diana became akin to the Olympians, to where she's completely indifferent towards humanity. And then Clark became the exception, and then she ended up falling for him, for better or for worse. I feel that's what he was trying to convey, but poor execution.
It didn't work. I don't even think Tom Taylor wrote that.
Huh.
If he did a really bad job of that. I mean, the story's good, but it's just, And see, let's talk about that real quick, because those of you know that I've made many a video on Super Wonder. The thing about it, these people inevitably will bring up, well, he needs Lois Lane because then it turns into Injustice. And I'm like,
here's my rebuttal.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kingdom Come. Clark was in the same scenario, destruction of the Daily Planet. He brooded, he walked away from superhero because antiheroes were on the rise and mob rule after Joker was taken down. But he didn't lash out, try to conquer the world.
Well, there wasn't a nuclear bomb or anything like that, but that's the thing. That was a good Wonder Woman that came and comforted him. See, that's the effect that it has there. And plus, also, here's the thing. It wasn't just the incident that led, those two incidents that led to Clark being evil. Because leaving them alone, I think he would have eventually calmed down. It's just then you have Batman giving him the cold shoulder, which I've had a debate with Nick on last week's episode about whether or not that was justified or if somehow it was like because Batman had that trauma. Which, that's fine. We can have that conversation later. But the other point is you have the evil Wonder Woman that and they confirm this in the Injustice 2 game story that she was like corrupting him and pushing him down this path.
She was enabling Clark during his dark spiral over the course of Injustice. She was enabling him.
Yes. So, Teladia, as a recent convert to Super Wonder, how do you feel about the Injustice portrayal of Super Wonder?
Not that good about Super Wonder in this one. But still, it's better than Wonder Bat.
I am so happy Teladia is on my side now. This is awesome. Slowly but surely, I'm going to get all you guys on my side here. There you go. But
I mean, at least there's one thing I'll say. At least in this universe, she doesn't wear granny pants.
Okay, like seriously.
Excellent, Teladia.
I appreciate the joke. But
don't worry, JJheat. We will break you one day. I'm like Ivan Drago. I will break you.
You're welcome to try.
Yeah.
If he dies, he dies.
Which, speaking of that, I do here's some things I like about Injustice. I like how they made homages to like classic DC storylines where like Superman breaking Batman's back, at which point Alfred headbutts Superman, which I'm like, okay, that's a terrific image right there. I love it. Superman hiring Vector Zsasz to kill Alfred. Then we get to the death of Nightwing. And I get what they were going for with the whole throwing baton. Damian thought he would catch it. But the way he fell, it's not like the knocking out part. I was fine with that. Which he just happens to land conveniently to where a rock would break his neck.
All this over a throwaway line of shock value as to why Damian would be wearing the Nightwing suit and donning the persona. Like, you can have some. Go ahead.
And you can hear
Yeah, go ahead.
Tevia in the comments talking about Jonathan Kent.
Well, Jonathan Kent
we'll
doesn't
get to that.
Universe.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later, but right now I'm treating that book as non-canon. Tevia, you'll appreciate that. But with this, very fun fact, that was my first exposure to who Damian was as a character. Because I'm like, it's Nightwing. Oh, it's Dick Grayson. No, my name is Damian Wayne, your son. And I'm like, Batman has a son? Because again, this was during the time where I wasn't reading comics. I was just watching the movies and playing the game. So I didn't know who the hell these people were.
Now, I will say what you will about all the shock value. First of all, the entire superhero community pretty much developed a disdain towards this kid who is not a normal child. He's not. Yes, he's rebelling. He's bad-mouthing against his father, all those things. But if you're born and bred or raised to act a certain way, you're gonna act accordingly. Damien was making an active effort to change. This was just a rare situation in the field where he lost his temper, like any kid would have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not justifying what happened. I'm just as much as a Nightwing fan as anyone else on this panel. But Nightwing deserved a better end than just conveniently breaking his neck on a stone.
Yeah, let him go out like a beast at least instead of just crack. That's the onomatopoeia on the page. Crack.
Batman 666 did this better.
I love that book.
To where essentially Nightwing had donned the cowl. He was on patrol with Damien. I believe they were going against the Joker at the time. I forget the villain. But there was an explosion, and he ended up getting Damien out of the way, taking the brunt of the blast. At least you have Nightwing.
Works.
At least you have Nightwing going out in a heroic way. But you can't really take that route because, you got Richard killed. No, it was collateral damage at best, and instinctively protecting his young ward, getting him out of the blast. I get that you're grieving, but there comes a point where you're just being petty.
Well, remember, this is the Bat family where if you kill anyone, it's seen as like you're irredeemable.
Pretty much. I can't argue.
That's my big issue with the Bat family as a concept, because if you kill, even by accident, they treat you like you are a pariah at that point. And I'm like, come on, guys. I'm like, Batman, how many people have you run over with the Batmobile?
You might not have directly terminated these people, but you either endangered or led to collateral damage to some degree.
Yeah, you may not have intentionally killed someone, but you murdered some people.
But I will say this. It's just I just don't know. It's just they were just kind of like riding at the seat of their pants, and Tom Taylor just made the best out of a bad situation. I gotta kill Nightwing by the end of this first year / volume. He just threw some crap at the wall and hoped it sticked.
That's what DC always does. So, Teladia, what were your thoughts on the Nightwing death for Injustice?
Interesting in the way that he died.
Mm-hmm.
And then how they portrayed him.
Mm-hmm.
Damien, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. I gotcha.
And how they portrayed him in the comics.
Now, the question is, here's a question that I wanted to ask you guys. Who do you think was right in the argument, Superman or Batman? They may have had terrible, I'm not saying was Superman right to be a dictator, but I'm saying which argument was more convincing?
I'm kind of down the middle because at the end of the day, this was a battle of extremes. To where and usually in a situation like this, Diana or Wonder Woman tries to be the voice of reason.
That didn't work out that well.
They tried to give that role to Kara in Injustice 2, but I think they did that, tried to give Supergirl more to do, and she was a big marketing factor based off the show. So
at that point, it was too late, though.
Yeah, too little, too late at that point. But Injustice 2, they tried to give Clark a redemption arc, but you knew they were gonna backtrack.
No, I didn't. I thought that Injustice 2, the story was gonna culminate in him turning back to the side of good and trying for redemption, and that could be what Injustice 3 is. But no, DC had to tear that away because here's the thing, JJheat, you're right. It was predictable as hell that they were going to do the whole, oh, no, you think Clark's gonna turn good at the end? No. And I'm like, you could have done something really cool with that.
Because, again, it's the David versus Goliath story. It's Batman and Superman. So that's basically the biggest marketing factor of this series, of these comics, the constant clash between the two. But at some point, again, you had Kingdom Come back in 1987, where Batman actively teamed with a lot of former villains. And you had way more nuance compared to a spinoff from an edgy and immature game, which was surface level at best.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. And with me, JJheat, I agree with you. I am halfway because both of them turned this nuanced argument into a too much of a black and white scenario, because here's the thing. There are some people who you have to take out, like the Joker. Superman is right that the Joker deserved death after nuking the metropolis. That alone, or like half the crap he's done in the presumably
the entire graveyards he's filled, the
yes,
thousands who have suffered, the friends he's crippled.
That's it. That's really taking things. That's really looking under the red hood, JJheat. But assuming that like half the crap that's happened in the comics has happened in the Injustice timeline, he deserves to be dead. The problem is that on the inverse, you had Superman, who was like, "Oh, they all get killed," and I'm like, "Okay, no,
that's
no.
going." Clark would at least not right away. Clark wouldn't have snapped this bad.
Well, again, I attribute that partly to the whole fact that Batman basically disowned him after that. And I'm like, dude,
there's a time and place.
And here's the thing. I get that, like, that's what happens with like the trauma, but you could, at no point did you think maybe I should maybe I should go to Clark and say, hey, listen, dude, let's bury the hatchet. And yeah, we both screwed up. Let's try and make it so you don't turn evil. How's that?
If Justice League Doomed is anything to go by, Batman is notoriously a dick.
Which is why Wonder Bat doesn't work. But anyway, I just want to bring that up. But yeah, he is notoriously that way. And he is extremely like dead set on that whole we don't kill argument under no circumstances. That's the part where I object to Batman. Is the under no circumstances where I really just like I draw the line.
A lot of that is due to censorship from the Comics Code Authority, and that just and it just kind of stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think what they did is they tried to make it part of the comics just so it didn't like all of a sudden happen. But the thing is, then they kept putting these superheroes in scenarios where the no kill rule makes zero sense. That's the other issue here with like the Joker, because realistically, if half of the crap that the Joker has done had happened in real life, Joker would have been like electric chaired at some point.
Two factors. One, Batman's always going to follow rule of law, at least to some aspect. And two, Gotham is a fictional city based in New Jersey,
where I think they don't have the death penalty. But still, here's the thing. Here's the amount of my legal knowledge. You know what I did? I looked up self-defense law in New Jersey, and guess what? Basically, the way it works is that if you reasonably fear for your life and you made every occasion to like try and escape that harm, I believe this is the way it works. Then you can do it. So I'm like, even I was on a Nerdette panel and I brought this up and someone brought up, well, Gordon would arrest him. And I'm like, Gordon would, if these situations are met, Gordon can do nothing.
Because he's a police commissioner, he's supposed to know better. Not to mention because he's in a high standing position. And not to mention Joker has gone out of his way to torture his family, whether it be his second wife or Barbara becoming Oracle. He has too much motive. It's never going to stick.
That's why, guess what? When we did New Direction, I said, let's just have Gordon, because spoiler alert, Batman kills the Joker, and Gordon doesn't do anything because Batman comes to him and says, I'm not going to go murder people. Just trust me.
Though he does cut a deal with Amanda Waller and go into Task Force X for a time, but that's a separate video.
Which is cool. So now, Teladia, who do you think is right, or do you agree with me and JJheat that that's like somewhere in the middle?
I think it's I think the way things are portrayed, it's kind of weird, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to explain.
It's kind of because you don't want to say like, oh yeah, Superman's 100% right because then you condone the murder part. Then you don't want to say like Batman's right because then some people don't that should get killed don't. But it's like, yeah, it's a balancing act. It's a really nuanced conversation. In other words, that's the big thing about it. Which again, that's one of the cool parts about the book is that they could have these conversations, that they essentially portrayed this whole freedom versus security thing. Did they portray it well? Well, that's another conversation. I think they portrayed it pretty well, considering the fact that Tom Taylor traditionally puts in his own political opinions in books when they're not justified. John Kent.
To be fair, Tom Taylor was pretty balanced when he wrote Injustice Years 1 to 3. He was pretty balanced about it for the most part.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think he started off writing Injustice. I think he came on later.
No, he wrote for years 1 through 3, and then another guy took over for 4 and 5. At least if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Let me know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure.
Let me check. I have the trades for one, I think. Yeah, he started off. He at least did year 1. That much I do know.
And I will say this. Say what you will about Damian Wayne as a character as a point. It's just the fact that he's not that bad. Like, he's no different than what Jason Todd was post-Crisis or back in the 80s. It's literally no different. That's
not a good example, JJheat, because the audience wanted to kill him.
No, JJheat. You lost this round.
The audience voted to kill him. Let's not forget about that.
Some say that vote was sabotaged. There is an article saying that's debatable. But what I was going to say is Damian is a very three-dimensional character when written well, to the point to where he's a child and he has no qualms of acting like one.
So you're telling me there's nuance in this? Wow, I would have never thought about that. But yeah, and that's actually the funny thing, because I recently read the first omnibus of the Grant Morrison Batman run. And you know what's kind of funny? When Damian first shows up, legit, out loud, I went, yeah, I could see why some people wouldn't like him.
Hey, that's the point of a character arc.
But yeah, he grew, and I'm like, okay, this makes sense. That's my problem with like a lot of comic book fandom. They don't let the entire story play out, because there are plenty of times when like a writer has started off doing weird things and then they pay it off later.
Not to mention the fandom was built up on an exaggeration, and the Camus did not help this at all.
No. Or now the other thing that I really want to bring up is is the Injustice movie, because that was a big letdown.
Don't get me started, please.
Not gonna lie.
The first part where it lost me was when Barry Allen is killed via chainsaw.
If I had to give one devil's advocate for that, they just wanted Flash out of the way, because at any given moment, if Barry was compelled to, he could just pull an Apocalypse War and then Flashpoint this shit. Like, let's be real.
But they could have explained it, because here's the thing about it, because they did address that in Injustice in the comics when they said, why don't you just go back in time? He goes, I can't.
Well, it's not that he can't, it's that Barry has matured, he's more responsible. There's no guarantee of what he would turn reality into if he did that.
Okay, that's true. But it's, yeah, can you imagine he shows up, it's like worse, and then everyone's like, what did you do, Barry? You told me to do this. That would be great. But the other issue with the movie, I still think this should have been Injustice Year 1. They should have done a series of movies for Injustice, because then you don't have to cram, because they crammed in all the plot points for all the years and then the games, pretty much.
With the exception of Brainiac, because I was Injustice 2. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Injustice 2, the movie, was a cash grab.
And there was no Injustice 2 movie, so...
I meant Injustice movie. You know what I meant.
Yeah.
But it was a cash grab, and they essentially deconstructed the story and made it more of a redemption. You still have the Civil War aspect, but they made it more of a redemption and second chances, rather than just valued friends and comrades beating the crap out of each other in a battle of ideals.
Yeah, and the thing about it's just that I love where Superman's like, what have I done? And Batman's like, we're going to put you in the fortress until we need you. And I'm like, you're going to let him out after he murdered men, women, and children? Superman, are you nuts? The answer is yes.
I never said it was a good movie. I just said there were some things they critiqued.
There were some things I dug. Like I liked when they recreated all of their super moves in the movie, like legit 1-to-1. So I was like, okay, that's something I enjoy, because with me, I always try and find like some positive thing about anything that comes out, except for Justice League, because there is no positive. But the thing with that is, the thing about Injustice is that there were some great stuff. Again, my other problem, and this is coming from the conspiratorial side of me, you notice how the evil Superman was in the New 52 Superman suit?
We get it, Jared. DC editorial is vindictive.
No, but I'm like, you could have put him in the Injustice suit. You didn't have to put him in legit the New 52 suit, and that just looked it
the High Counselor suit is very over detailed. It would be hard to animate in that
No,
style.
it's just the regular Injustice armor for Superman, the default one.
I'll admit that would have been a bit easier to animate. I'll admit.
Yeah, exactly. So, Teladia, your thoughts on the Injustice movie? Yes, I'm going to force you to do that.
God damn it.
That may end up being a movie night pick by me. Watch, I'm the only one who shows up.
Yeah, I'm not going to turn up for that one.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll get you there.
I mean, it's painful enough I have to talk about it, which is it's painful because the way they portrayed the characters, it wasn't even one-to-one to the comic. It was awful painful enough. They got the Earth 1 Superman and not the another
Earth 9.
Earth. No. The good Superman being Earth 1.
Oh, yeah,
No.
he did say, actually, we're Earth 1. Yeah, which I got that. But it's just...
I'm just like, why?
They just tried to cram too much into one story that it just came off as really bloated.
Yes. This is why, guys, I wouldn't recommend watching Injustice at all, the animated film.
No, ignore it. Trust me, you will save your sanity. Because I remember... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I had internet connections. Like, are we talking more so about Wonder Woman, like the whole Super Wonder scenes, or just in general?
No, in general.
Here's the thing about the movie, too. They legit changed that, where it's like, oh, he rejects Wonder Woman. And I'm like, you realize that's actually a pretty key plot point in the original story?
I mean, they're kind of together. He's just not going to let the relationship go beyond that because he's
No,
still
he
breathing
said,
for
no, I
Lois.
can't because of Lois. And I'm like, Lois is dead, you idiot. It didn't take this long.
I was okay.
It just doesn't make... Again, that just doesn't... That's on the level of... Remember in the Red Sun movie where all of a sudden they like rebuffed the whole Wonder Woman with Superman thing because they're like, oh, she comes from an island of only women. And I'm like, yeah, we knew that. What does that have to do with it?
I feel like they wanted to make sure the Red Sun adaptation didn't come across too much like Injustice to the casual audience because there are some parallels.
But the funny part is, it's literally Injustice when you think about it. Except Batman dies. Spoiler alert. But let me ask you this. Let's transition to a more positive portion of this topic. What are your all's favorite moments from Injustice? I'll start with Teladia.
My favorite moment in Injustice has to be the fact that when the good Justice League comes over to bring back redemption, well, not redemption, to bring back the insurgency, rises. I love that, and that's for the first game alone. The second game, I'd say my favorite second bit is the Batman Superman team up.
Yeah, there you go. And I love the caption. The title of the chapter is "World's Finest," and I'm like, I see what you're doing here.
Yes.
I have a couple of favorite moments. one of them is when you defeat evil Wonder Woman. The battle's happening in Metropolis, and Aquaman goes, "Are you ready, Superman, to face down the might of Atlantis?" And Superman goes, "Oh yeah, we are." Then all the Amazons show up with Wonder Woman. It's basically like 300. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I like that. My other favorite is when Batman is going to bring Superman in. Actually, it's when apparently there's like an attack going on in Metropolis, and Injustice Batman gives up and wants to send the Earth Prime heroes back. And then you actually have to fight Batman as Batman.
All I'm gonna say about that fight is that could have gone to someone else rather than giving both Batman a separate story chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Those could have gone to another character, but that's just a nitpick of mine.
Yeah, it was really weird with that because they gave it to characters that I didn't care about oftentimes. Like, I don't want to play as the Joker, honestly. I'm like, no. Give me like Hawkgirl. Give me like, well, they had Green Arrow. They had Lantern. They had Wonder Woman. Basically, every Justice Leaguer that showed up got a chapter. So I guess that is just weird. But JJheat, what are some of your favorite Injustice moments?
Definitely Superman's return, when Superman crosses over to the Injustice world in the first game, the finale, where they kind of like basically most of my favorite moments are from the first game. Not gonna lie, Injustice
That first
2,
game is iconic.
That first game is iconic. I'm not gonna fault that. I'm not gonna cap. But Injustice 2 just felt like a downgrade. Like, I've seen cash grab sequels before, but it just wasn't feeling it for me.
It's actually kind of funny. If you want to see a really funny review of Injustice 1, look up K Nightwing, because what he said, his problem with Injustice 1 is that they made Wonder Woman look like a man, kind of.
No.
And if you notice in Injustice 2, she is actually really hot now. So I'm like, thank you.
Oh,
And I did. Okay, so Injustice 2, the game, actually, here's one of my other favorite moments. When she's doused with the Scarecrow fear toxin and then he gives her like her inner thoughts, that shows that she's still a little bit like Wonder Woman. She still has a certain amount of guilt. So it's not. So what this game essentially does, it says like basically no one's beyond redemption. And the thing about it, can you really blame Superman for not turning good at the end of that game? Because he essentially lost Metropolis again.
Yes, again.
yeah.
And it's like you want us to go back 5 years and do a repeat of this. I'm like, really? And if you notice, a lot of the other heroes switch sides. The other thing that I felt was kind of interesting is all the people with powers are the ones who sided with Superman for the most part. Everyone else sided with Batman, and I'm like, okay, I get why you did that, Taylor, but in that case, Superman's team should have wiped the floor with Batman's team.
They're trying to build up the conflict and sentiment that these are still friends at the end of the day. They don't want to do this. Most of them don't.
No, I know, but my point is the fact that all the people with godlike powers go with Superman and all the non-powered people go with Batman, and I'm like, Batman's clearly at a disadvantage.
Here's my rebuttal. Bat God.
Well, yeah, that is true. Batman created a bat multiversal portal and said, okay, you know what? Wonder Woman won't side with me. I'll bring in another one from the multiverse. There you go. The other thing, going back, the other thing I really liked about Injustice is all the different costumes you can use in Injustice 1.
Yes.
Like Man of Steel and Zod. I love that. That's all. New 52.
New 52, yes. And Godfall.
Flashpoint, you can use all the Flashpoint suits. I like the Wonder Woman Flashpoint suit. You can use by the way, that was the first time I've ever encountered the character Deathstroke. And I remember I see this dude, his opening animation is like he's cocking a gun. He's like loading up all these weapons, and I'm like, I like this guy. And Yeah, go
Jared, I highly recommend watching Teen Titans 03, specifically Slade scenes.
Yeah, I need to because I remember watching that show in the time period. It took me a while to realize that Slade was Deathstroke, but I'm like, okay, I like this guy. I really do.
And that's is why Jared needs to watch more anime.
True.
Indeed.
That is very true. But fun fact, you know why I pre-ordered Injustice 2? Fun fact, the dude at GameStop told me you get to play his dark side. And I'm like, okay, I'm done. That's all you had to say. That's literally all you had to say.
And just wait till the next Injustice game. I just
Wait,
want to say that.
Who would be a good pre-order character? Steppenwolf?
The Anti-Monitor.
The Anti-Monitor, yeah.
Not gonna lie, that's a good one.
I'm telling you, dude, that's not a bad, because it has to be like a god tier character that would pull people in. And we've never seen the Anti-Monitor in a game short of DC Online.
DC Universe Online, yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Which I have defeated the Anti-Monitor multiple times in DC Online. That was fun.
But I will say this. There's not really much the story can really go from here, except from what you got from the Brainiac Superman ending and the Masters of the Universe crossover. That's a pretty decent ending.
It is. If you wanted to treat those comics as non-canon and go with like the Superman ending, you could go with, the Batman ending. You could do a redemption story for Superman. That would be actually really cool to bring it #full circle, is if it ends with Superman being good again. What do you guys think?
I could see that, but if Adventures of John Kent is anything to go by, I just feel like Clark is going to
No, JJheat, no.
You want to talk about that? All right, so here's this is the biggest wasted opportunity in DC has done in a long time.
Tevia's going to rant if we don't. Tevia's going to rant.
Tevia's going to bring it up. I'm going to have full block comments in my comments. We have to bring it up, Teladia.
Can we just play the clip, please? Just say dweeb, because
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. All right. Fair. We'll do it.
Dweeb.
But all right, this is the biggest wasted opportunity that Tom Taylor's ever done. Because remember, it was billed as John Kent's finally going to get payback on Ultraman. So I'm like, okay, cool. Why is his neck snapped? And I was like, Injustice Superman. Here's the problem with doing that. Why hasn't Injustice Superman ever mentioned, oh, I met my son on from another Earth? That's the problem with doing these stories that take place between, is that it doesn't work.
I will rebuttal that you could argue for like Damian and Barry. It's a stepping stone of which for their respective character journeys. But outside of that, this is just safe. This is just safe.
I mean, why hasn't Superman ever said, you know what? I actually met a son of mine from another world. And I'm like, okay. And also, the Injustice Damian has never met John, so they wouldn't have that dynamic. It wouldn't really affect the character.
I feel that's something editorial forced upon him because a lot of fans missed the Super Sons, and that was a good way to actually prop the book up, even though it was a pity series. Let's just call it for what it is.
Which that it is. And then it's like, and then my favorite, they're teasing up. Okay, Superman's Super Bowl. John Kent is going to have a battle with Injustice Superman. They're teeing it up with 4 to 5 issues of just talking. And then they just have a heart-to-heart. I'm like, what?
Not even a punch. Not even banter.
I'm like, Tom Taylor, this is going back to when I made a video a long time ago when Tom Taylor said that John Kent is such a brave Superman because he doesn't use violence. And I'm like, don't write superhero comics. First off, Tom Taylor, that's the pot calling the kettle black. Because remember, you're the dude that's known for murdering your characters in very excruciating ways. So let's not talk about murder, about killing characters.
Being peaceful.
Second off, you're writing a superhero comic.
Now, I get what he's trying to do from a metaphorical sense. The only reason it failed in Son of Kal-El because it was effectively replacing Superman in action while War Saga was going on. World, excuse me. So you have a pacifist character in an action-based title.
Action comics.
Fictional characters. Fictional characters.
Yeah. You know what's a lot.
Roll the clip.
Yeah. I gotta. Hang on. Where is it? I gotta move this up so it's not the bottom of my list. That was an excellent tee up and delivery, Teladia. Hang on.
Okay, they're talking about fictional characters. Fictional characters.
My favorite is when people are because there was a person that's a friend of Nick's that legit came after me with like hurling curse words and everything because I just was refuting Wonder Bat, and he tried. And the point is, I was just addressing his arguments. I was very civil. He started hurling expletives at me, so then I just put below each of those comments the fictional characters gif, and I'm like, "You're getting this upset. You need to reevaluate your life goals."
Like
They're
for real.
fictional characters.
Yeah.
Now, I want to make something clear. I'm indifferent, but I just like to heckle.
You're just
Jared.
doing. You three a-holes are just actually no. You two a-holes because no.
Hey.
I corrected myself, Teladia. I'm talking about him and Nick. Because Teladia and I have our new alliance, which I'm actually very happy now. Is that you guys just do it because you know it makes me upset.
You, in all fairness, you make it too easy.
Yeah, and to tell you the truth, I do play it up a lot for the content. So
I mean, it's better than that time when you slipped up. So
Which one exactly?
wait a second. Do we need to bring up all the times that Teladia slipped up last week on Under Two Capes? I have the recording. Do I need to, Teladia? Do you want to go down this path? There you go. Thank you. I'm so glad that happened. And JJheat even caught you too. He was like, nope, I'm not letting you get away with this. No. But in conclusion, see, here's the thing. Injustice is, I will say, one of my favorite DC Elseworlds stories because it's awesome. It's fun. It has good moments. Is it a perfect story? Hell's no. But as a story that's for the story it's trying to tell, I dig it. Now let's talk about a storyline that was going to adapt portions of Injustice. Let's see, what storyline was that? Where I have a clip of it. Where is it? It's technical difficulties. Oh, here we go. It's this universe.
He fills out his clothes like lentils fill out a sandwich bag.
Yes, there you go. Because Superman turns evil. Except here's the thing. Here's what people ignore about this versus Injustice. In the Snyderverse, it's not Superman's choice.
Now, for context, since I really do need to break this down since Jared is being awfully coy, Batman v Superman still happens. Clark is still quote unquote dead. Bruce, according to the storyboards, mind you, Bruce and Lois kind of connect in the 1 year gap. Lois is eventually killed by Darkseid, and then Clark gets corrupted by the anti-life equation. That's basically what happens in the Nightmare verse.
And remember, the whole Lois and Bruce thing was abandoned
almost immediately.
Let me put it this way. Here's what really annoys me about the anti-Snyderverse like discourse, and Teladia and JJheat, you can tell me if you agree with me on this, is how many people give Zack Snyder crap for his rejected ideas. It's not like it's in canon. It was just stuff that he said, okay, can we do this? No. It's like the whole, the Greek gods are half Kryptonian or something like that, or are Kryptonians, or this. And I'm like, you realize that idea was never actually used, right? Those storyboards were like, here's the base.
Template.
When they went to BVS, those storylines are from pre-BVS. They were like, okay, so here's this. Let's take away the Lois scene. Even Zach was like, yeah, we got rid of that almost immediately. Because you don't need it.
I feel like I'm not saying people are shilling and like consume product and get ready for next product. I'm not pulling a red letter media right now. But I will say people go out of their way to defend the old regime despite all the shadiness that went down.
And then my other favorite is when the people say, you should be positive about DC's future. And I'm like, why? Why? Give me a reason to be positive. Oh, we're getting more DC movies. Are we? With Warner Brothers' track record, I do not trust them.
Not even on the TV show side, because say what you will about Superman, My Adventures of Superman being a corporate leftover, but it's not good.
Why did you say that name?
I regret nothing.
I
regret nothing.
No, JJheat. No, JJheat. No.
I regret nothing.
No.
I regret nothing.
Did you hear? The next episode is going to be my personal hell because it's Lois Lane's from the multiverse show up. And I'm like, there's more than one of you.
Well, technically, yes.
Hey,
but,
JJheat, I think we need a Crisis on Infinite Earths right about now. Crisis on Infinite Loises. That's what we need. Written by Jared from Comics League.
Wait. Oh, a Crisis on Jared's Earth.
Yeah, and it's just the Antimatter shows up and goes, you're dead. Go away.
DC Comics presents Jared has an aneurysm.
Oh, you know God Killer? Lane Killer.
Boo.
By the way, that is coming. The sequel to God Killer is coming. We're working. We're prepping. We're in the prep phase.
Hopefully by the end of this month.
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap up now. That was a great episode on Injustice. Drop below, by the way, like, comment, subscribe, and drop below your thoughts on Injustice. Before we wrap up, real quick, I'll go to Teladia and then we'll do that. So Teladia, say your thing, and then we'll rate Injustice out of 10. So go ahead, Teladia. What do you want to say?
I'm gonna say this, right? Even though Injustice has 2 great games, I'm pretty sure the third one's gonna come out, and it's probably gonna be a reboot, if anything, or they might continue the story, or a prequel, yeah. And I'm gonna say this right now, before Jared finishes the stream. Super Wonder, well, it's not a stream. Super Wonder is a thing for the ages, and it's canon.
I love that Zack Snyder canon. Wait. What I need to do, I need to take that Super Wonder thing I always that Super Wonder clip I always use and just put big letters canon.
I literally did the same thing for the New Direction verse. Like, seriously, this does not affect me at all.
I'm not saying it does. I'm just like, okay, I wanted to play the clip. But so there's that. So for Injustice, I give, and by the way, for the story, actually, you know what, real quick, before we do that, before we wrap up, Teladia brings up a good point. What characters do you want to see in Injustice 3?
Oh, that's easy. I want to see the Anti-Monitor.
Yes, I want to see He-Man.
The Anti-Monitor and the Monitor. I do want to see that.
Most likely it would be the Anti-Monitor, because if they start digging into Final Crisis, that'll get confusing real fast.
But in video game terms, it would definitely tell a good story.
Yeah, it would. Oh, you mean that Injustice is a multiverse story? I mean, they could do what they could do would be kind of cool. Is for the story, it's just the formation of that world's Justice League.
Yes.
And what they can do with the story, they can drop hints that these are like the more aggressive versions of these characters. With like Wonder Woman being like murdery, Superman being more brutal.
Did you just essentially describe the Justice Lords?
Yeah,
kind of. They could just do that, kind of. Would that be a good one? JJheat, what characters do you want to see in Injustice 3?
Oh, bloody hell.
Well, I know one.
Constantine, if possible, even if it's as a guest character. Deadwing, that's a good one. Zatanna was in the first game as DLC, so that kind of already counts.
Amanda Waller. Oh, she's dead.
She's dead. But Guy Gardner, maybe, at least.
He's dead.
He's dead. All the human lanterns except for Hal are dead.
Jessica
Walker
Cruz
starts. Yes, because we haven't had her yet. She could show up in this game. I want to see He-Man because
DLC.
Absolutely, because I want to have Wonder Woman versus He-Man. Please.
I want to see the return of Beast Boy.
Yeah, but he's dead too.
No, he isn't.
All the Titans are dead.
No, in Injustice 2, they came up the Phantom Zone.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's Connor. That's Connor, Cassie, and Starfire, and Tim Drake.
Yeah, it wasn't
No,
Beast Boy. Beast Boy was Beast Boy. The rest of the Titans were in Metropolis when the bomb went off.
No, but they were put into the portal when in Injustice 2 they came out and Tim died.
Yeah, but that was Tim Drake, Connor, Cassandra, and Starfire.
Beast Boy was referenced by Cyborg as one of his friends he lost in Metropolis.
God dang it.
Hey,
So he's dead. They could still bring him back because they brought back dead characters before for like DLC and plus for flashback scenes.
yeah.
And I want to have Scorpion show up because they're going to do a Mortal Kombat character, so I can just have someone go against Darkseid.
No.
Get over here.
Mortal Kombat. Scorpion was in the first game. Sub-Zero was in Injustice 2.
Raiden.
He was in
Raiden
Injustice 2.
Oh, Liu Kang or
Sonya Blade?
I would
Sonya
argue
Blade.
Liu Kang. I would argue Liu Kang.
Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, and Sonya Blade.
That could work. I could go
Yeah,
with that.
I could see that.
I could say I'm looking at my action figures because I'm trying to find. I do agree with you, JJheat. Steppenwolf should actually be a pretty cool character because he had Darkseid in 2. We could also go with Wally West Flash.
Seriously, no one has used the original Wally West Flash at all.
Yeah, and it astounds me. It really does. Desaad.
It's not really a fighting character.
Oh, that's true. Any of the female Furies.
Yes.
Yes.
Barda, Lashina, Stompa. There's any number of characters that could work.
But, I think this should be a great debate for another day. I think
It will
Oh,
be.
definitely.
You know
definitely.
what? This could be next week's Under Two Capes episode. We'll do it in just this month. But so yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on the show as always, boys. And I'll go around. JJheat, where can we find you and what have you got coming out?
Well, you can find me at JJheat75 on Twitter, JJheat Plays on YouTube. Let's see. I believe now New Direction Young Justice, where we essentially try to fix the Lobdell run. God help us all.
That's an undertaking.
Is this Saturday. But after that, hopefully by the end of this month, God Killer 2. Yay! And let it be known, this is the darkest story we have ever done.
I'm going to make God Killer 1 look like those beginning to read children's books. And to be clear, to give you an idea of how intense God Killer 1 is, mythologically accurate Thor ripped Hawkgirl's wings off.
We're going full God of War 3.
This is basically like the first 10 minutes of Justice League Dark Apocalypse War.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, that's awesome. What about you, Teladia?
On my channel, I've got a couple of clips coming out for the Into the Multiverse podcast that should be coming up this week. I've also got a collab with Sil Abdul, the one and only, the wise man.
Nice.
He and myself are going to be doing that podcast, the Untitled Podcast, gaming podcast, where we'll be talking about everything in gaming. And it is going to be pretty cool of what we're going to be talking about, including potentially 4K upgrade for Batman Arkham Knight.
Which is funny because that game really doesn't need a 4K update. So I'm wondering how much better can those graphics get?
I said potentially. So we'll be talking about that on the podcast. So stay tuned.
By the way, here's some gaming information. They're doing a graphical update of DC Online. So I'm wondering, because they said they want to significantly update the graphics. So I'm wondering what they're going to do with that.
Yeah. And also, if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at Teladia Plays if I don't get suspended again.
Yeah, I know. All their information will be in the description below. For Comics League, I have okay. So this is coming out on a Saturday. So I will already have done my collab with Joe Sontag, comic book artist extraordinaire. I'm not going to announce yet who the big collab is next week. You'll find out on the Monday video who it is, and then I'll tweet out and stuff. And then for movie night, it's a JJheat pick. We're doing Karate Kid. Wax on,
Yes.
Wax off. That's
Wax
gonna be
on?
that's gonna be
Waxed off.
that's gonna be in the thing. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe to Comics League. Particularly, I put out my Red Sonja Conan review, which was dope as hell. And
be on the lookout for SWTOR playthroughs because those are coming back on the channel. So be on the lookout for those.
Be on the lookout for Comics League Gaming because that's a show that I am going to be starting up because I'm getting a gaming PC. I have it all arranged. And
finally,
be on the lookout for Super Wonder Legacy, an entire show devoted to Super Wonder. I cannot believe it's taken me the entire existence of this channel to start this show.
Can we talk about it? Shall we talk about it, Jay? Can we just tease them
about what?
Mine and your collab coming soon, aka the Super Wonder.
We can talk about that on Teladia's channel. We're gonna be doing a regular show talk about Super Wonder because surprising literally no one except for Teladia that brings views.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do you think I kept doing Super Wonder content?
So we're gonna be talking about the books from the first issue to the end. So stay tuned. We'll be doing it once a month.
It'll be really fun. It should be very enjoyable.
So on that note,
Super Wonder for Life. Thank you, Teladia. You are awesome. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week when we talk about characters we want to see in the next Injustice game. Characters, maps, and everything. Just generally everything we want to. We'll be doing a big, in-depth breakthrough what we want in Injustice 3. That's what we're doing. So on that note, everyone, stay heroic. We'll be
Wonderman!
See you in the next.